It seems like Qatar is trying to level up their influence, right?
As if they don't have enough.
Well, they have a lot. They do a lot of grants through universities and all that kind of stuff. But I think so they're trying to level up. I think they're trying to be, UAE, Saudi Arabia. So I think they're making a play, and then they support Hamas. But of course, America supports Hamas. I mean, by huge numbers. That's a major part of like USAID and all this stuff. We give money through the UN. There's a whole separate UN fund to fund Hamas or the Palestinian people. But it's like, so it's one of those things you go, Qatar funds Hamas. They're like, yeah, so do we. And anyone in the UN pools money to fund Hamas. Welcome to Loaded Talk. I am your congressman, the third most popular candidate to ever be. I'm Frank, and along with me, as always...
What's up, Planet Earth? I'm Bean.
Bean. Back in black. I guess that's gray. I'm wearing black. It works. Don't worry. It works. I guess starting with two bits of breaking news. George Wendt, Norm from Cheers, has passed. He has left us. So everybody needs to raise a beer. Hey, Norm. Norm! All right. I don't know. Anyway, he was funny. I liked him. Good in Toy Story. The other bit of breaking news is, I guess, Nancy Mace out of South Carolina is going to show nudes.
Oh, I did catch that.
Yeah. I don't know if it's going to have the impact that she thinks it's going to have. I think... the purpose seems to be, taking back the authority, somebody's holding something above you, like blackmail porn type thing, revenge porn. So I guess some scumbag took a bunch of pictures without people knowing or something and had them all categorized. And I guess he assaulted some people. I know she's an assault survivor. I don't know if she was assaulted by this person or what. I assume she's got some law that she's trying to get passed. So her solution is to show the nudes.
Out of South Carolina.
So I don't know if that's going to be at Capitol Hill. I mean, surely it's going to be like blurred or blacklined or something, right?
Is there literally going to be a watch party?
Well, I think that's how it's actually transpiring according to the internet, because I saw her name was trending, and I was like, what's this all about, And then I'm like, why are so many people posting memes about a girl flashing her boobs, So I had to look for a while to find the actual story that was going on. It was just a lot of people doing nudie, flashy memes. But, yeah, so I imagine... just in the world of politics, you say it one way, get all the eyeballs, but I mean, surely she's gonna censor, at least put a couple. Like I don't even know who I don't know what the pictures look like, obviously, but I mean, you could censor them and still get the point across, right? But if she doesn't, then that's something. It's something.
She's gonna get some support.
Yep, she will. Underwire. All right, so that's just stuff that I saw right before we got in here. Old Norm, I know what to do with that. Don't know what to do with the Nancy Mace thing. She's an odd bird. She floats around sometime, or a lot of people that consider themselves moderates, they go, I like Nancy Mace a lot. Like, she's a strong Republican in lots of ways, but she doesn't get into all the, abortion and things like that. She's more pro-choice or something about. Oh, that is something that I just saw the other day. I should pull this up. Much how we've been seeing where, like Pfizer and these drug companies have come out and been like, all right, may cause myocarditis, pericarditis, and they just kind of quietly add it to their thing. I just saw two studies, and it was the abortion pill. So this is the thing that I don't know if this one's already over the counter or if that's Plan B or both of them. And because Plan B, I think, is preventing implantation. I think that's what Plan B does. And the abortion pill is like a chemical abortion that you can do at home. And so the solution for a lot of these stringent pro-life, you got till 4 weeks or you got 0 weeks, just no abortion kind of things. People are like, well, the pill, we can mail it anywhere. We need to make it available over the counter and be able to ship and all this kind of stuff. And that's super safe. Apparently, so traumatic and potentially life-threatening. So basically, there's two things that were looked at. One was insurance claims. So insurance claims of people who got the abortion pill versus people who were hospitalized for it, for extreme kind of deals. And then there's also a self-reporting. So people who said, I had a bad reaction where I needed to go to the hospital, whether it was close to deadly or just extreme enough that I need to go to an emergency room type of thing. What do you think? Percentage points or just, one in this many? What do you think the number was?
That had complications?
That had serious complications. Because it lines up pretty much the same between insurance and self-reporting.
I don't know, 1 in 50 maybe?
1 in 9.
Wow.
1 in 9. That's insane.
That's dangerous.
That is dangerous. And there was that lawsuit that happened that I think before the election, and Democrats were trying to make hay out of it because it was that, you had Republicans pass all their pro-life stuff, and so Democrats really ran on it hard. So coming to the presidential, they wanted to equate Donald Trump with ending abortion access, which I've never understood that. That dude has likely paid for a few. But they tried to bring up this report of this girl who died, and they said that it was because she didn't have access to reproductive care, which is a misnomer. It's not reproductive care. But basically they tried to say because she was in a state where she couldn't get proper care, the hospital didn't want to work with her because she attempted an abortion or whatever, and she died. And really what happened was she took the abortion pill as prescribed, because no one's taking 20 abortion pills. You get the 1 or 2, or I don't know how much they sent you, but 1 or 2, whatever they sent you, And so she took that, heavy complications, went to the hospital. Hospital was negligent in the response. They did not give her treatment, not because of abortion laws, because they were negligent. And this is according to her family, who's suing the hospital. And so they're just like, yeah, this is what happened. And so it was trying to make hay that it was this is because of reproductive rights being limited. But really it was she was just one of the 1 in 9, and that's crazy. I don't know. It's one of the, I hope that it gets enough attention, and it can't, the abortion argument is just so, toxic, both sides of it, where it's just you're a baby murderer, and, or it's you're a whatever, but you're trying to take away a woman's right to her body. And it's just all right, let's just acknowledge a couple of things. The pro-life people are trying to stop babies from being killed in the womb. The pro-choice people are saying listen, we don't think it's a baby at this point. We don't think it's a baby maybe until a certain point. Everyone's got a line, all the honest people. There's the people that say abortion until 40 weeks, and those people are murderers. But within reason, within the first 20, because the youngest developed fetus to survive a birth was 21 weeks.
Jesus.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. As medical technology improves, it might get earlier too. But so it's all right, can we all agree 20 weeks? Right? So it's all right. So the pro-choice people that say up to 20 weeks, their whole thing is there's horrible situations sometimes, and you don't know what these girls are going through, yada, 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 that kind of thing, where they're trying to be compassionate for a young woman who is in a stressful situation, does not know how to handle it, maybe doesn't have financial resources, family resources, or like family. And so it's not a death cult, and the pro-life people are not a patriarchy trying to control women's bodies, But I hope that somehow through all that noise, they can get through that. If it's legitimately 1 in 9 have serious complications, they should not be giving this thing out. Like, that's not good odds, right?
Especially if that's the over-the-counter one.
Yeah, and I can't remember if this one's over the counter. Like, this isn't the Plan B. This is like the actual abortion pill.
Yeah.
And so I think this one has to be prescribed. Maybe. I don't know. I saw that sometime in this past couple of weeks. I was reading them because one of them was like, it's 1 in 9, and then the other one was like, I forget, 13 or 12% or 11%, something like that. Where you go, I guess it's about 1 in 9. But that's insane.
Yeah, so if there's 9 people in line buying or getting prescribed the same thing, one of them's
going to have complications.
Right.
Complications that involve hospitalization and possibly death.
Nope.
But that's the thing in this argument about like how bad it was to make very pro-life laws. They started hyping this pill as if it was the answer. It's safe. You should be allowed to your teenage daughter should be allowed to go to the store, buy it over the counter without a parental consent, without an ID, go home to her bedroom, take it without telling her parents, and just, that's fine. And that ain't fine. Like, if there's a 1 in 9 shot that girl doesn't leave her bedroom, holy crap.
Yeah.
And yeah. And also, just there's other... It's a chemical abortion, right? So depending on how far along they are, which it doesn't take that far, but depending on how far along they are, I mean, no matter what, they got to pass something. Mm-hmm. And so that seems like something that should be with a support group, medical professionals, not like, we were pretty independent teenagers, and so we can handle ourselves, all that kind of stuff. And that's fine. Strong will, independence, all that kind of stuff's good. This sort of thing, I think you need a support system involved.
Yeah. Can't will that.
No. And there was this woman, and I forget how she's connected to like the people that like my wife knows from her hometown in Ohio. This one, I know that she's kind of, I would say no one would define her as a class act, not classy. I don't think you would invite her to restaurants.
Like any of them?
Well, maybe Applebee's or Sizzler.
I've got the picture in my head.
But this woman had a miscarriage, right?
Okay.
Which is very sad.
Yes.
It's very sad. And she was not far along. I forget how long it was, but we're not talking 20 weeks. We're talking, 10 or something like that. Just not far along. Well, she did something that I've never heard of anybody doing.
Oh, God.
Which is posting pictures of her miscarriage on Facebook. That was kind of my reaction when I heard that. I did not see the pictures. I just was told that, and I was like, why? Like, why? Why? Right? And so, so my wife's friend, lifelong Democrat voter, parents, lifelong Democrat voters, all that kind of stuff. Very pro-choice, rah-rah out the gate, and so 30-something years later, that thing. And the problem was posting these pictures, which I don't know why anybody would do it. She was just like, that was a baby, like just the shape, obviously it wasn't playing with the ball saying goo goo gaga mama, like it was dead. But like it wasn't a clump of cells. It wasn't a blob. It wasn't, a tadpole. You look at it, you go, that's a teeny tiny baby, you know? And that's kind of where, I don't know, that's where some of these things start to get real screwy. And it's like, and it's fine. Like, I get it on the pro-choice side of things. I get it to say, like, this is not a sustainable life at this point, yada, yada. If that's your point you want to make, that's fine. I'm not arguing that. I guess my whole point with this rant was just that, you know, if anybody, not just teenage girls, but anybody, if they're going to go through this pill process, you know, you pass something, and it's going to be, that is a difficult thing to process, I assume, and I hope. I mean, I hope you can't do that callously without a thought in your head.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think it's a bigger deal than it's been made out to be. It's been made out to be aspirin. You know, it's like, just a couple of aspirin, no pregnancy in the morning. It's like, yeah, there's more steps to it. And I think it'll be possibly very traumatic for, you know, 8 out of 9 people. And it sounds like 1 out of 9 people will be severely traumatic. So, I don't know. I hope that kind of, I hope a review can occur that gets out of the world of politics. Because obviously everybody that's a pro-life will be like, yeah, we got to, but everybody that's pro-choice, like if they just inherently argue against it because of politics, it's like, okay, well, this is going to cost lives, you know? Anyway, that was something. Yeah, I don't know. That was I read that review, or yeah, the studies that reviewed that stuff. I think it was when I was coming back from one of these places I've been when we weren't recording. You know, that's just hung with me since. All right, there are other things happening other than, you know, Charlie eating abortion pills. And one of the interesting things that has just occurred, I don't know if this is today or yesterday, 2 days ago, I guess. You know, the FBI is now being run by Kash Patel, who talked very strongly before all elections and everything about how the FBI would reveal the Epstein list on day one. You know, you got this guy, Dan Bongino, who's now like the second in control, and he's been doing the talk radio thing. You know, Epstein didn't kill himself. There's corruption afoot, all this sort of stuff. And so, you know, the earlier release of information ended up being a big nothing, made a lot of right-wing influencers look silly, made the administration look like they're not going to release stuff. Since then, they have not released anything. And yeah, so now Bongino and old Kash are, looks like on Fox Business getting interviewed, and they were asked a little bit about Jeffrey Epstein and what happened at his cell, or in his cell.
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing.
Walk the yard.
You know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
He killed himself. You want me to? I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
You said.
All right. So that was Dan Bongino and Kash Patel saying they seen the footage. This wasn't part of the video, but basically that they checked the footage. No one walked in the cell or out of the cell in the time that Epstein died, according to them. Of course, there was a camera facing his cell or in his cell, whichever one it was. And that, of course, is the one that wasn't working. And then remember what the guards of his cell were doing, right?
Sleeping?
Yeah, they were napping. They were taking a nap.
Conveniently.
Yeah, I mean, and he was taking off a suicide watch like the day before, 2 days before.
Perfect.
Yeah. So, before I give my thoughts, Charlie, I know you have some thoughts. What do you think about old Kash and Bongino here?
Well, they're definitely lying. I mean, they're clearly lying. The whole that whole short conversation was awkward.
Yeah.
And before Cash started speaking, he looked to the left, and that's, I mean,
Okay.
he's an agent. He should know that, but he doesn't.
That's interesting. As I look to the left. I guess, yeah. Where do I stare? I guess I stare all sorts of directions. That's just a friendly thought spectrum. So you think that they're just lying?
Yeah, and what's the guy?
Dan Bongino?
Bongino.
Yeah.
His follow up was even. It just made it worse.
So Bongino was a Secret Service agent for a while, and he started reporting on the problems of the Secret Service, when they're, not doing their best because no one's watching them that close. Lots of cocaine and hookers and kind of frat boy stuff. And this was during the Obama years. And so he started being like, hey, like, there's a problem, And it got kind of turned into a bit of an anti-Obama thing, whereas, really you would probably think that the Secret Service agent being like, we're not doing a good job is probably concerned about the president's life. But from there he went, he spent time, I think, with Glenn Beck or something a few times, and kind of started a show on his own, which then like ended up him and the guy from Outkick the Coverage and Buck Sexton. So there's like 2 different competing shows that have taken over like the Rush Limbaugh spot. So there's Buck Sexton and the other guy from the sports show. He was the one that says the 2 things he believes in is First Amendment and boobs.
Oh,
Buck Sexton and somebody in Buck, whatever.
that was a great clip.
Yeah, no, I support that statement 100%. I give it 2 hands up. But no, so it's that guy or those 2 doing a show, and I think those are like the official EIB network, which is like the Limbaugh production company. Don't worry about that. It's just definitely not anybody in intelligence.
It's not China.
It might be China. But so they got a spot, and then Bongino had a spot. And so those were like the 2 like 12 o'clock time slots that were trying to be the new Limbaugh. And so, his right-wing talk radio stock was... Was he involved somehow in Rumble too, or is that somebody else? I don't know. He might have been involved in Rumble as well. I don't know. Somebody in that sphere. Anyway... So these Kash and Bongino have been talking a lot of smack in the Biden years, and so now they're in charge, and they say he didn't kill himself. So what do you think? What do you think the motivation is there? What do you think?
Well, clearly somebody is motivating them.
So you think they're getting their arms twisted?
Most likely.
Do you think it's either someone else inside the FBI or the CIA, or what do you think?
Something.
Something.
Yeah.
Something intelligence related that's like, no, get out of here. So what do you think about them? I forget, there's a term for this that now I can't remember. But using the truth to tell a lie. So, okay. Imagine you are a CIA handler or Mossad handler, but I repeat myself. But imagine you're whoever, right? And you have been working this Epstein guy for a while, and he has screwed it all up. You got him out of it once in Florida, and now the second time there's no getting him out of it. There's no way he can testify, and so, but there's all these cameras, all this protection. He's being watched. So maybe you go up to him and you go, hey, listen, camera's going to be off at this time. No guards are going to be on duty. you need to take care of this. This is how you wrap the knot, like this is what you need to do. And then it's some sort of carrot or stick. I don't know. Like it's do this and the loved ones that you've talked about will be taken care of, or it's do this, or whatever this thing is that you don't want to have happen is going to happen. We kill your niece or whatever these loved people are. I'm sure Epstein had loved ones. It couldn't have just been him. I've never looked into any extended family because I don't care that much. But so say you're somebody with some oomph and you go in there and you're just like, here's a carrot, here's a stick, whatever it is. This is the time slot. You need to take care of it. If you don't take care of it, we're going to have to take care of other things. And you know what we're talking about. So cameras will be off. No one's going to stop you. This is how we suggest doing it, right? So say that happened. He technically killed himself. Like if the head of the FBI, if Cash's predecessor went to him and said, kill yourself at 8:30, and he killed himself at 8:30.
He killed himself.
Which is kind of like when you said like the look to the left thing. It's just like, he killed himself. Like he committed suicide. But that does not disconnect the chance that it was under duress. Granted, if you're used to living a life of luxury where you have private jets to go to your private island that you stock with models. Now, granted, with him, they were not of age models, but let's just pretend things on the up and up, where it's like you got this great place in New York. You're in the inner circles of everybody, celebrities and politicians and all this. All the science people you could possibly bring to a dinner party. You fly down to your private island where you throw a party and you just have models out to wazoo that you have your way with consensually in this situation. Go from that to be like, hey, you're going to be locked in prison for the rest of your life. That already puts you in a headspace where you go, well, time to check out, And so, that's without him being someone setting honey traps for everybody else and having lots of very politically connected people involved with him. So I think that a little carrot or a little stick on top of that saying, this is your time frame, get it done. Or you don't want to see what happens if you don't get it done. It's like, you're not on suicide watch. You're going to be in Gen Pop in the yard tomorrow. Epstein. You know anything about the white power movement in the prison system?
Right.
Or anything like, you can't hide with the whites. The blacks and the Puerto Ricans aren't going to take you. What are you going to do by region, by New York? Like, it's not going to happen. You got a target on your back, so it's tonight, or you're going to be very popular tomorrow. I don't know. There's lots of different ways to do this. So I wonder how much of that is delivering true information in order to try to communicate something that people will misunderstand and think to mean something else,
Well, yeah, but when it was initially communicated, it was depicted, I don't think they had pictures, at least they haven't shown them, that he used the bunk to do it, but it's not high enough to do it.
Somebody, and I forget who now, somebody said, somebody that was skeptical said they did a test with I guess there's dummies that actually you can they have built-in stuff where you can test that kind of stuff. And I guess there is a way to do it. It just takes it takes effort, you can't just it takes effort and willpower,
Right,
so it's, I don't know. Do I think he killed himself? No. But really, if someone says kill yourself at 8:00 or else, or whatever time it was, if someone says kill yourself tonight or else, that's not the same sort of suicide as it would be if it was just like, I've got nothing to live for, it strikes me as different. And even if he killed himself, he didn't kill himself.
Right.
You know? So I don't know if, I do wonder, you know, if this new FBI crew does have people all up on him. I wonder if Kash and Bongino have things that they don't want people to know about, or if they are just trying to let the dust settle and then, you know, get better footing because it's, you know, it's May now. I forget how long it took them. Like Bongino only got in maybe 2 months ago, 3 something. You know, it's only been since January that, you know, so it's been 4 months of confirmations and stuff. But Kash was towards the beginning, but like Bongino was after that. So I don't, you know, it's only been, let's just call it 4 months. Let's call it 3 months. It's been a quarter of a year. So it is possible, you know, that it's like, all right, let's just get this stuff quieted down, people not looking, and then we can address it. But of course, the way most things happen in DC is once things go quiet, they just hide it, you know.
Well, I wonder if, like, is something going to happen with her trial coming up, and that's why it's just being addressed?
Well, yeah, I don't know. And like
pre-discredit her immediately or something like that? Or,
well, how would this...
I mean, I don't know how it would,
okay.
but I'm just, you know.
I mean, it could be something with her trial. It could be something where...
Because if they go down that rabbit hole, wow.
Yeah, and I don't... And maybe there's something... Maybe Pam Bondi does have cases. She's going to be bringing them against people. Maybe. And maybe with that, you don't want to be floating allegations that you can't prove in a court of law, publicly, because you think that it might make it harder as a prosecutor if all of a sudden state's evidence seems like it might be more about politics and clicks than it is about provable reality. I don't know. It could be... I mean, that's giving the benefit of the doubt to these guys. I don't know them. You know, like, who knows? They talked a lot of smack going in. Maybe they're just, you know, sissies that are rolling over like everybody else does. 3 months in, I don't know. Well, I kind of want to, like, flag it in my mind and see where this thing follows up to. Because it could be an amazing... tail tucking, in which case, like, they will deserve the rest of their life of teasing and condemnation. And it's just like, there's no way Bongino should have a radio show again after this. All was like, I'm a tough talker. I was New York intelligence, Secret Service, tough talker. It's like, yeah, what about Epstein? Well, you know, I didn't want them to be mean to me. They said mean things would happen. So I think, I don't know. This is one of those, I don't have an answer. I want, like, it strikes me, like I was saying, that they're saying true words in order to communicate something that is not true, that they hope everyone digests. The purpose of doing that, TBD. I don't know. It's either going to be something that turns out good, or you go, hey, they were doing it all along. Or it's going to be something where we go, yeah, they caved like everybody. Big losers. All right. Let's see. Oh, this was another fun story. Not, well, I guess the meat of it can be debated, but Joe Biden, he's got the cancers. They said he's got advanced prostate cancer that's metastasized in his bones, right? And let's see. NPR says it this way. Trump suggests, without evidence, that Biden delayed sharing his cancer diagnosis. Let's see. President Trump suggested without evidence on Monday that former President Joe Biden had delayed sharing his prostate cancer diagnosis, saying it was part of a pattern of the Biden White House covering up former president's decline. He was gracious. Get out of here. Get out of here. I'm not going to donate to you, NPR. Make that go away. Yeah. Thank you. Ugh, NPR, this is why you got canceled. All right, so he said stage 9. They said that's his Gleason score, which whatever. He's very far along with cancer. Trump said he believes screening for prostate cancer was standard in physical exams, but the U.S. Preventative Service Task Force does not recommend that men over the age of 70 get a routine prostate-specific antigen screening because the potential harms outweigh the benefits. I don't know why a blood test would have potential harms.
Yeah.
It's blood. All right. I think if you take a look, it's the same doctor that said Joe was cognitively fine, Trump said. And that's being proven to be a sad situation. He insinuated that Biden officials have been effectively running the office by using the auto pen to say, yeah, no evidence. A spur. This theory is just on the far right. It's got no merit, Charlie. It's got no merit. No, it's got no merit. All right. Whatever. Okay. So that's how NPR is covering it. They can't possibly be mad about being defunded or theoretically defunded. But yeah, so Biden has a very, very advanced prostate cancer. And the media is already covering for him. Now, you know about Jake Tapper's book? Jake Tapper wrote a book because, about a month ago or something, or a couple months ago, holy cow, some of his contacts at the White House was saying that Biden wasn't all that sharp to begin with. It didn't begin with that one debate performance against Trump. It may have predated that. Can you believe that, Charlie?
No.
And Tapper and all the CNN guys, they were reporting as best as they could about the information they got from the White House, and they just trusted them. And then all of a sudden, curveball, new information. They said, because that guy's fine. He looks fine. And then all of a sudden the next day, he wasn't fine. They go, what? And they look back at the table. They go, yeah, that doesn't look good, does it? So Jake Tapper has a book about how he was in not good shape for a while. And everyone in the Biden White House is reacting publicly like, what? That's news to me. Every time I saw him, sharp as a tack, just the same stuff where they go, this is crazy.
Are they all saying the same thing? Like it's
Pretty
scripted
much,
again?
yeah. Like George Clooney was one of the people that came out on this because he threw that massive fundraiser for Biden, and Biden came out to speak. He goes, and Clooney goes, oh shit. He goes, oh no. And so like Clooney's one of the sources on the book, clearly. Like I don't think he's ever mentioned, but some of these sources, the information the source provides seems like it's probably George Clooney. So anyway, so there's a book out saying ends up he was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs for a while. And now you get this cancer diagnosis. And, former White House doctor says this is not something that happened in 200 days. Like it's been metastasized in the bones. This is something he's had for years, possibly his entire presidency. And that the White House physician under Biden was more concerned about the politics than the health. So, which one sounds more likely?
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure that they've been covering.
So do you think... Okay, so here's the real question.
But the timing of the release is interesting.
So let's say... So there's an annual physical, right? The results come. Physician sees them. Does he tell Joe Biden? Does he tell Jill Biden and staffers who decide Joe doesn't need to know? Or do they not tell anybody?
I think somebody gets told. Do I tell Joe? I don't know if I'm all that worried about him spilling the beans.
I mean, I'd be worried about him spilling beans because he has no control about anything.
That's true.
But it's also like if he's you know, if he's
He's also crazy though.
yeah, I mean, if he doesn't remember what day it is, he doesn't know where he's at. Like, why give him bad news? You know,
That's true.
you know, you go, hey,
But Jill definitely knew.
I feel like Jill had to know, you know, and I think Jill, along with somebody, was just like, this doesn't go any further. Because, like, they go, oh, not everybody, you know, after a certain age, you shouldn't take the PSA blood test. Yeah. Okay, so just normal physical. How are his lymphocytes? Like, lymphocytes were high, or maybe they were very, very low. And if the president of the United States of America had low lymphocytes, some ratios that didn't look great, did no one wanted to follow up on that? They just went, yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, you're supposed to get the best care ever.
Yeah, because you're the commander in chief, and if you kick it, someone else becomes commander in chief who wasn't elected, but they were elected to, you know, back you up. But yeah, so these physicals that he would do all the time. Oh, he's in the best shape of his life. It's like, even without specifically screening for the PSA thing, like, there's just no way he had normal lymphocyte levels
This might be a reach,
around.
but was somebody hoping that it would take him?
Well, I know one person was, if she knew. You know, I don't know if Kamala knew. I mean, I feel like I bet you there was a faction in that White House that thought the only chance for re-election would be Kamala getting in by Joe stepping down or dying, and her being the first black female, Indian female. I mean, she's half Indian. Come on, president. And it all depends on which year it is, which thing she reps. But her mom's Indian. Like, come on. Anyway, but
And she worked at McDonald's.
no, she didn't. Charlie, don't spread your lies on this show. But yeah, no, I think there was a chunk of that group that thought, like, all right, Joe needs to probably step down, you know, between 2.5, 3 years in. Kamala will be appointed the first female president, first black female president, first, you know, woman of color president. And then the idea is to make that shine really good, you know. And so they went for it after the fact without her being president, you know, where they had her run as a candidate and try and have that same shine of the heir apparent. But she screwed it all up because she's not a good candidate. And I think ultimately that probably stopped them from moving forward on any plan like that. It was just like, wow, Kamala sucks. and might have a drinking problem.
We can't even hand it to her.
Yeah, it's like, we'd love to hand it to her, but like, try asking her a basic question. Watch her screw this up. Look at this word salad. Like, here's a question. What would you do differently than Joe Biden? Oh, not one thing. Cool. So it's like, well,
way to stand out.
yeah. So I don't know if it fell apart because she's horrible, but yeah, no, I have no doubt that, I mean, it's in his bones, you know. He might not be alive this time next year.
I called 2026.
Did you?
I believe I called 2026.
Did you put money on it?
No.
Who cares?
I think you had asked me, you're like, how long do you think he's got? And I said 2026.
Ooh, we did it here. That means we got tape.
I think we did it. Yeah.
All right, we'll rewind the tape. We'll roll the reels out of the back and put them in the reel to reel. Rewind it, project it on the wall. But the dude that did the Dilbert cartoons, you know him? He's become kind of a right wing personality.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think I want to say his name's Scott something, but he's I'm trying to remember his name. Anyway, he announced today or yesterday or something like that he's actually got the exact same type of cancer. It's metastasized in his bones.
Jesus.
And he's just like, you know, but I haven't just learned this. I've known this for years, you know. He's tried, you know, experimental medicines. He's tried, you know, he's tried a lot of things, you know. What is his name? Scott something.
So he tried dog dewormer.
He actually has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was reading about that yesterday.
Yeah, no. He tried. I saw the dog dewormer thing. I don't know if he tried that. He did try the anti-parasitic. What's the one that was for COVID that everyone was making a big deal of?
Starts with 8. Does it start with H? H.
Well, now I can't ever get it.
Hitch.
But the one that like they're like in the lead up to COVID, when we're like, yeah, this has some use. It's been used for 100 years. There's no side effects. Whatever. It's an anti-parasitic. Rogan took it. Was part of a suite of other things he took when they said he took horse dewormer, and so the horse dewormer / human anti-parasitic. I think he tried taking that one. So I don't know if the dog dewormer thing is the same. I think it's a different chemical. I don't know if he tried that. Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't. Scott Adams. That's his name. Scott Adams. But either way, he's a proponent, always has been a proponent of medically assisted suicide. So he's like, I think I have till March. He's like, but I'm going to basically be around as long as I can stand it. And then I'm out of here,
You should check out Switzerland. Don't ask me why I know that. It's a whole nother topic, but Switzerland's the place to, not Canada. Don't go to Canada.
You need to stay around for a little while.
It wasn't.
Stay around, Cheryl. We do not need to fry your beans, okay? Yeah, no, and I imagine if you got a little scratch, you can, What I would probably do is, I think you just get a couple, try and you doctor shop for a while, I think. And you just try and get a couple Pringles cans worth of Oxys, and maybe in the lead up, just have a couple great days. And then you just, and you're going to stop breathing. That's going to suppress your respiratory system, and you'll just stop breathing. You'll be fine. And that's what hospice does, which, anyway. Not to get on a hospice tangent. I've already gone on an abortion tangent. That's what the people call for. All right. So, yeah, I don't know. Biden probably doesn't have much time. But, so the odds are someone knew about this, right? He was running for president. If he hadn't, screwed up that first debate and, just dice rolled and a slightly... I don't think he would have beat Trump. But say he did beat Trump. Well, we're in the first 6 months of his second term. Now it's hey, he's got a year to live. You go, that feels like something that should have been disclosed before we took our vote. And also, if this cancer was showing the entire time, Scott Adams said he's known about it for 5, 6, 7 years or something like that. And they've been fighting a losing fight. But it's all right, so if he knew about it or someone knew about it before he ran the first time, you don't want to disclose that. It seems like something, it's one thing to, I don't know, you don't want to talk about every issue. I got high blood pressure. Oh, we're going to make a big deal out of that. But if you got a year to live, the voters should get to know that so that they know that whoever the VP is going to be president, And even if you're going into it where you go, I don't know how long I got, but I do have prostate cancer and we've not been able to stop it yet. I could have 2 years. I could have 8 years. You go, okay, well, let's think about this vice presidential candidate. But I don't know. I find it to be sort of a big damn deal to hide something like that. Think about the potential effects of it.
Well, and then is the timing of the news coming out, is there about to be scandal that comes out and they're going to use it to simmer the backlash on Biden? To get the feel sorry.
It's possible. I'm trying to think of what that might be. Right now Trump's making hay about Kamala paying people to endorse her. Beyonce possibly $11 million.
Wow.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know if that's true or not. Sometimes people get creative with the way numbers are
Why does she even need that? She's a billionaire.
I mean, come on. 11 mil is pretty nice.
Yeah.
You know, I don't need it. Just buy a fine hat, though. Think about the hat I could buy with $11 million, Charlie.
That hat better have live animals in it.
It was endangered animals on a rotisserie. That's what's going to be in this hat. Covered in diamonds. It's going to be a diamond handle.
Oh my God, this is great.
It's going to be a diamond handle on the side of my hat as I rotisserie some endangered animal on the fire that's cooking. But I can't feel it because of all the gold and diamonds right here.
It's a very interactive hat.
It's a very interactive hat. There's AI. You can ask it questions. It'll put you in a house. No one gets Gryffindor, though. Everyone's Slytherin. Take that. That's like all of my Harry Potter knowledge right there. All right. Yeah, but other than that, I don't know what could be coming Biden's way that hadn't already come his way. You know.
And he pardoned himself, so.
Well, actually, that is something coming his way possibly, is they are calling for an investigation into the auto pen stuff, which I think does need to occur. Like, all politics aside, like when they go, this auto pen signature was initiated from D.C. and Biden was on vacation. Like, I think there should be an audit. And even if they get Biden go, I called him and told him to do it. I called it, like, put him on the record. Just be like, I think the American people should see, all right, so for these signatures and these executive actions or these pardons, you know, they're executed at this time in this location. You were in a different location at that time. And then just go one at a time. Different city, different state, different country. Like, dip. And like, yeah, I call it authorized. So you authorize them to do this. Yeah. And just, hit them a couple times. But I think right now, cancer treatments will take a lot out of them, and like, so maybe he won't have to even answer, or he just sends out a statement. I authorized all of them,
And they auto pen that too.
They auto pen that thing too. And like, I mean, remember how we were talking about the signatures and all of his stuff didn't match the signature on thing where he said he was stepping down, You go, well, that's interesting. So the question is like, who did what? Like, what is his signature? I assume it's the auto pen signature copies his actual signature. But it's like, all right, well, someone else signed the other thing. It's like, I don't know. Seems like a lot of fake Biden signatures going on. So maybe that's something that's going to get him out of, I don't know. Here is something that has been kind of interesting. This is another deal where the wording of stuff interests me. I guess to set it up, though, Qatar has said that they're going to give Trump the mansion of the sky that he's going to use for Air Force One. And then when he's done being president, it'll be donated to the Trump Library because there you go. And, of course, a lot of people go, well, that looks like a bribe or influence peddling. And people go, hey, shut up. And then other people are talking about, like, hey, Qatar's they've been problematic in their funding of terrorism. And people go, hey, shut up. So we'll go into this, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about, recent developments involving Qatar. All right. So this is from the Gazette, which won a Pulitzer Prize established in 1872. I was about to say, that's too long ago. The Gazette. Where the hell is this from? I don't know. We got mountains, though. All right. After President Donald Trump's victory in the 2024 election, foreign agents working on behalf of Qatari government appear to have shifted their focus to right-wing media, fueling speculation that the terror-linked Gulf state is attempting to win influence among conservatives. So, when Democrats were in charge, they put most of their money towards Democrat stuff. And now Republicans are in charge. They're trying to get their money towards Republicans. It's almost like they're trying to get influence. Let's see. Since Republicans won control of the White House and Congress on Election Day, the proportion of messages sent by Qatari operatives to conservative outlets and commenters have surged to more than half of their total correspondence with the media. So now they still talk to legacy media and left-wing media, and then they also talk with right-wing media at more than half, whatever that means. So slightly over 50-50, I assume, is what it means. Perhaps Qatar's biggest victory in the post-election right-wing media campaign thus far was securing an interview between Tucker Carlson and Qatari Prime Minister Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani. That name just kept going. In March. The interview, which raked up 6 million views across X and YouTube, was friendly, with Carlson praising the country. All right, so here's... Well, actually... I guess I'll get to it later. Okay. Qatar paid top dollar to ensure this interview took place. Okay. The Foreign Agent Registration Act records show that Luminate Advisors LLC, which is a legal consulting company for which very little public information is available, helped facilitate between Carlson and the Qatari dignitary. Okay, so the FARA Act says that this company that helps with foreigners got paid regularly, right? And these people helped set up the interview. The Embassy of the State of Qatar paid Luminate Advisors $180,000 per month to provide media and communication coaching and consulting services. So this was like a all-around, we want to get our word out. And they're like, hey, we're going to teach you how to talk to the press in America, get you on the right shows and all this kind of stuff. So the implication here is that Tucker Carlson got money to do the interview, but they don't actually make that accusation. They just sort of say a lot of money was paid to these one people with the implication that they then paid the money to Carlson, which may have happened. I don't know, but they don't make that accusation. Qatar wants to further cement ties with Trump and allies for many reasons, including to defend itself against Republican attacks for its relationship with Hamas and Iran. Said Anna Jacobs, a non-resident fellow at the Arab Gulf States Institute. $400 million luxury jet, of course. And they targeted all sorts of stuff. They gave money to some dude that runs a different media company that likes Republicans. All right. So, have you seen anything in the news about Qatar lately? Gooder.
Not other than ties, the usual.
Okay. So one of the things that happened recently, there was one single U.S. hostage being held by Hamas. Okay. He's American, but he signed up with the IDF after October 7th. And so he got captured as enemy combatant. He was not like one of these dudes at a music festival, So he got captured and he was being held hostage. Well, apparently, Qatar helped facilitate the release of him. Like the U.S. worked through Qatar to talk to Hamas to get the release of this guy, right?
Okay.
And part of the sort of after the release is this fella is going to be on his way home. He's going to pass through Qatar to thank the Crown Prince or whatever the hell they got in Qatar, And so that's people like, that's not great. He's going to this funder of terrorism, right? So then you go, all right. So Qatar just helped facilitate a release of hostages from Hamas. Well, that seems kind of positive, You go, yeah, but Qatar funds Hamas. You go, oh, that is a good point. Hamas is a terrorist group. What did Bibi Netanyahu have to say about Qatar funding Hamas?
Well, he obviously does not. Well, so. Well, yeah, I don't really.
Like, obviously, he doesn't. Wait a second. A head of Mossad went to Qatar before October 7th, the months prior. But it was very important, apparently, to the state of Israel, the government of Israel, not the people, that Qatar not stop funding Hamas. Because, of course, a strong Hamas means an Israel versus a terrorist group, and a two-state solution is just a silly thing, which, of course, you're not going to give a state to a region run by a known terrorist outfit. So you'll just have to beef up defenses and just prepare and hope they never get past them. But yeah, that's interesting. It was like, so Israel has a complex relationship with Qatar funding Hamas, and that sometimes they're kind of in favor of it. So you go, all right. But it seems like Qatar is trying to level up their influence, right?
As if they don't have enough.
Well, they have a lot. They do a lot of grants through universities and all that kind of stuff. But I think they're trying to level up. I think they're trying to be, UAE, Saudi Arabia, maybe Jordan to a certain extent, maybe greater than Jordan. But so I think they're making a play. They want to be there. But they've been friendly with Iran. I don't know to what degree they've been financially supporting Iran. Iran sometimes has lots of money, sometimes they don't. I don't know. And then they support Hamas, but of course, supporting Hamas, America supports Hamas, by huge numbers. I don't know if we do more than Qatar, if Qatar does more than us, but for America to be like, you're funding Hamas, it's like, we fund Hamas. That's a major part of like USAID and all this stuff is we fund Hamas. We give money through the UN. There's a whole separate UN fund to fund Hamas or the Palestinian people. But it's like, so it's one of those things you go, Qatar funds Hamas. They're like, yeah, so do we. And anyone in the UN pools money to fund Hamas. So, we're splitting hairs over that one.
Sorry.
Yeah, well, So you go, okay, well, there's that one. They go, Iran. You go, I don't know. Okay, that's not great, Iran. But you go, okay, the U.S. So Qatar's like, hey, let's normalize relationships with America. Let's just, we're going to be friends. Like, I hope you get your hostages out. Does that sound good? You go, can you do that? Yeah, sure.
Clean slate.
Yeah, exactly. We'll come in there with a reset button like Hillary Clinton did to Russia. And so they're just like, yeah, all right, we'll do this. It's like, okay, cool. So we get a hostage out. Sweet. They go, we'll give you a plane. They go, we're going to buy a butt ton of planes from Boeing. And we go, that's great. The biggest purchase ever from Boeing. And like, look, we will throw so much money at America. Like, let's be friends. We'll do whatever you want. And we go, all right. Well, that sounds pretty good. And then we know we're going to have to do something with Iran in terms of the nuclear program that may or may not be developing. It's just 5 years away, Charlie.
Yeah, always.
5 years away. 5 years, they'll be able to destroy the world.
Weapons of mass destruction.
I do wonder about it because, Iran is not a country I inherently trust. I think, especially with the whole 12th Imam kind of stuff, I do think there's a radical religious element clearly about them that might be okay with really destroying the world.
Oh yeah.
And, or at least a section of the world, Israel. But I think, them having a nuke, I think they might not be the same as a Pakistan or something like that. I think they might use it sooner than later. So I don't want them to have it. That being said, it has been, didn't Bibi Netanyahu say they were 5 years away, in 9/11? In 2001, he's like, Iran's the way to go. Got to topple them the most.
He's been saying it way before that.
I'm sure he has. Like, the fact that, like, our foreign policy that we've enacted since 9/11 through Bush, Obama, Trump, Biden, Trump, matches a lot of what the plan was that Netanyahu said we should do right after 9/11, like in Congress, like on the floor of Congress. This is what we should do: topple this, and also matches up with like Wesley Clark's thing. I was like, they say we're going to topple all these people. And it's just like that. It seems like the plan has been the same for 25 years or more. And really, I think it was more because I think it was presented under H.W. Bush. And they said, let's just win re-election first, and we'll get to all that kind of stuff. But it's like, it just keeps going. It just keeps churning. But I think all that to say, I think Qatar is trying to normalize relationships with America. And obviously, they're trying to influence things to be a pro-Qatari kind of thing. They're not dropping all this money to be like, we want you to treat us like Iran, you know? They're like, hold our hands when we come to the White House, like the Saudis, you know? Like, come to us to gamble or whatever, like Dubai. Like, you know, we're basically these people. But I think the negative press is coming because I think it's working to a certain degree. And like, I don't know. I think so they got a hostage out, you know, they're helping, like they're communicating with groups that we have a hard time communicating with, and they're helping facilitate things, which if it works and good things happen under a Trump administration, of course that would irritate people in the media. So I'm wondering if that's kind of the origin of this. And like the Tucker Carlson thing, maybe they cut him a big check. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. I haven't even seen his response to it, to be honest. But like paying a company who is a media consultant company, who teaches you how to talk to the press and all that kind of stuff. And then they go, we'll set it up with Tucker. And they go, why Tucker? It's like, well, he's a right-wing hero, but he's kind of being a, against the grain type of guy. He's willing, he talked to Putin, he'll talk to you. And like, he's open to talk. And like, okay. And so, maybe all it took was like, hey, you want to talk to the head of Qatar? And he's just like, yeah. Or maybe like, here's a fat check. I don't know which one,
It's almost like Tucker's the Geraldo of modern times.
He's something. I don't know. Tucker's like, he's a weird cat. Like, I like that he's disconnected from the mainstream and he's willing to kind of like jump different directions, like the fact that he interviewed a guy that said he had gay sex with Obama. Like, kind of crazy. Maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. Kind of crazy to do that as an interview, especially when it was sort of an old claim, not a new one. I think part of what's going on with Tucker now is like he's always been he's been a use the government for good versus a small government, like a protect truckers' jobs by outlawing automation type of thing. And so I think like after leaving Fox, he's been like kind of falling into something that's more libertarian or more like, all the levers of government are not great. In fact, most of them acquire things through force. And so I think he's reconciling this somehow. And I think it's this pendulum swing. I think he's just
like, he's opportunistic. Like, that's all it is.
I wouldn't say, he could be, but I was thinking more just like falling down rabbit holes, going way over here. And then he might bounce back this way some and like settle somewhere else. But like going from like a general trust that at least some of the government are doing good things for the good reason, to being like, oh no, actually most of the government is horrible, whether they're Republican or Democrat. Most of them are just looking to control us or be comfortable at our expense or go to war to fund this to the like. Maybe most of the government are not good. Maybe at best, most workers in the government are listless and apathetic, and most leadership is corrupt, So I think it's going that way. And the problem is, you start seeing it some places and you see it everywhere, and it might be true everywhere. It might be truly awful things everywhere, but also sometimes you might read into things and jump to a conclusion that something's fact before you really know it to be fact, but you got that input. So I think with Tucker, it's this wild kind of swing, or he's being opportunistic. I don't know, but it strikes me as he's just like falling down this kind of anti-government rabbit hole, and he might be taking some broad swings while he sorts out all the details, you know. But I think that, you know, I think the attack on the attack on Qatar doing what they're doing right now is because they're siding up with the right wing, and the press does not like that, you know, especially if it ends up being successful and peaceful. Well, I think that's all we got for this week. Chuck, what you got?
Well, all roads lead to a certain place. That's all I'm saying.
Qatar. Well, I assure you I don't know what you're talking about.
Follow the money.
Bye, everybody.